And today's dramatic January 6 hearings, testimony in the fifth hearing showing how President Trump tried to use the Justice Department to overturn the 2020 election. Now the committee has issued more subpoenas to key Republicans in at least 4 states. More hearings are expected in July.
All right, so a lot to get to tonight regarding today's testimony, and joining us with more insight is Stephen Maynard Caliendo with North Central College. Professor, thanks once again for being here. Let's talk about what was revealed today, a long list of elected representatives who were asking for a pardon just several days after the riot. What did that say to you?
That's right, and we had that teased from the very first of these hearings, the primetime hearing, that we knew that we were going to hear some names. Some of them were very firm, others we didn't have such clear evidence about. But it's really going to put the pressure on some of those folks to make a decision about whether they're going to come forward, whether they're going to stay with the president. And it's also going to make it interesting to see about the leaders of Congress, particularly the Republican leaders of Congress, if there'll be any censure or any sanctions for any of those folks.
Professor, how has this hearing, this fifth hearing, how has it been compared to the other hearings as far as damage to the former president?
It's hard to assess that, because I don't know all who's watching, if it's just preaching to the choir in some ways. But as we've talked about many times, it's about getting things on the record, on the historical record. I thought we heard from Adam Kinzinger today, Illinois' own Adam Kinzinger today. We didn't hear much from him in the first 4. He spoke a lot today. He did most of the questioning. He had a very powerful opening statement where he really tried to connect acts of defiance against President Trump with acts of patriotism. He talked about his own experience as a veteran and what it meant to fight for democracy around the world, and he equated it with what he's doing on this committee as a Republican, continuing to fight for the sanctity of democracy and elections.
You talk about Kinzinger in the spotlight. He made a note of saying that Trump's goal was really not to investigate, but just to create the illusion of legitimacy here, to provide fake cover for all of Trump's supporters here. Is that a good way to describe it?
It seems as if that's the case from the evidence that we've had and from the testimony that's come forward. And especially today, we heard a number of times where the president said, I'm not asking you to say that it was corrupt. I'm not asking you if it was corrupt or not. I'm telling you, just say it and then leave it up to, and he said, this is really interesting, right? He said, leave it up to the courts and Republicans in Congress, which is really interesting because, of course, that led to, at the very end of the hearing today, the list of Republicans who asked for pardons based on their involvement in the January 6th insurrection. And so I think that connection with sitting members of Congress was made more strongly today than it was in previous hearings.
Could anything that came out today lead to criminal charges in the future?
You need a legal analyst probably better than a political analyst for that one. I'm sorry that I can't answer it, but I know that certainly the Justice Department has been watching very closely. They're being briefed. There's going to be a full report coming out of this January 6th Select Committee, and certainly the Justice Department and Merrick Garland will be reviewing that to determine if any criminal charges can be filed.
Interesting how the Justice Department is investigating its own department after today.
In some ways, although it was very clear that with the exception of really one person in the Justice Department, the person that President Trump wanted to take over if he was going to fire everybody else in the Justice Department was saying, we're not going to comply. And if you move along with your plan to replace all of us, we're all going to quit. We're all going to resign. So there was a lot of really powerful testimony about that. So, the Justice Department is an independent agency, and I don't know that President Trump ever in his whole presidency appreciated that. He was thinking about government like a business. You're the boss. Everybody ought to be loyal to you. And certainly cabinet members can come and go, but the Attorney General, the Justice Department has always operated independently, and there's a very important reason for that, of course.
Interesting way to put that. Jeffrey Clark there had drafted this now infamous letter that was supposed to go out to overturn the election in several key states, saying that the election was contested there. Did you get a sense that that letter was actually close to getting sent out, or did you feel nobody wanted to touch it?
Well, the testimony today was that nobody else at the Justice Department was willing to have their names put on it, not the acting Attorney General, not the acting Deputy Attorney General, and those names were on the original draft. They made it very clear that they were not going to sign it, and so unless the president was going to remove them from office, there's no way that letter could have gone out without their names on it, and certainly wasn't going to go out with their names on it. So, but it does remind us, I think, Ray, that we talk about leadership so often, and I think it's built. I'm at a college and we talk about leadership. I also talk to my students about followership. We're followers at least as often, usually much more than we are leaders. And the question becomes, when do you stop following a leader when you're asked to do something that you feel is wrong? We've all been in jobs where we're asked to do something that we're not sure if it's the right thing or not. This is a very high level of that, but I think in all of our lives, it's really important to think about, when do we break off? When do we not follow what we think is bad leadership?
Interesting. Stephen Maynard Caliendo, once again from North Central College. Thanks for checking in tonight.
Great to see you again.
Too. And count on WGN for continuing coverage of the January 6th committee hearings. The next live hearings are expected to take place in July. Meantime, you can find out more information about the hearings so far online at WGNTV.com and get breaking updates through our WGN News app.